Anaximenes was yet another early philosopher that hailed from the Ionian city of Miletus. A friend and pupil of Anaximander, Anaximenes also sought to produce a scientific explanation for the origin of reality. Anaximenes is quite a mysterious character because nothing is known of his life, and none of his work remains today. Unlike Thales, who argued the origin and substance of the world to be water, and also unlike his friend Anaximander, who argued for the endless, boundless, indefinite apeiron, Anaximenes held another view of what the ultimate substance of reality was: air. Now, one can definitely argue that proposing air to be the single source of all things was in a way a step backwards from the more sophisticated and nuanced view of Anaximander. Nevertheless, Anaximenes was convinced. His argument went like this: before anything existed at one point in history, all that existed was simply air. Even now, according to Anaximenes, all that truly exists is air. Because air is infinite and in constant motion, it has the ability to produce anything and everything. Anything that exists is air, but at varying density. For example, any object that is solid in nature is simply an assortment of air that is tightly packed together. Anything liquid, on the other hand, is just air that's less close together. His insistence on air being the fundamental substance of all things was not just random, but rather based on his own observation and experience. Anaximenes was well aware of the consequences that varying temperatures had on air. He also understood the process of air coming together, or condensation, and of air separating itself, rarefaction. Basically, Anaximenes believed the entirety of Earth was just a result of air becoming so condensed that it eventually turned solid, forming the physical aspects of the planet like stones. First, when air began condensing, it slowly became wind, which then turned into clouds, eventually resulting in rain and other forms of precipitation. When the condensed air finally cooled, Earth was formed. Moreover, any object that contained light ultimately contained fire, which was simply the rarefaction or separation of air. He believed the sun and the stars were the result of this same process of condensation and rarefaction. Anaximenes even held that us humans and our souls are composed of air, and it is air that is ultimately holding us together just as it holds together the entire world. Although the conclusions of Anaximenes were ultimately false, his approach to reaching these conclusions was extraordinary for his time. He was the first person to relate the change in hot and dry and cold and wet combinations to density, and then attributing condensation to cold and wet air and rarefaction to hot and dry air. Like all of the pre-Socratic philosophers before and after him, Anaximenes was trying to explain what the world was made of. However, his approach of explaining the world based on accurate observational changes in substances was revolutionary. And that is his greatest legacy. It was not for his correct assessment of reality, but rather for his scientific approach of tackling the ultimate question. His discovery of fundamental changes of substances being possible would go on to impact the lives and thoughts of other pre-Socratic philosophers after him, most importantly, Plato. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and leave it a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this.